What's up, you guys? Good morning, good evening, whatever applies to you. Hope you're staying safe. And today, I'm gonna ruffle some feathers and get a lot of hate, probably. But this is a topic that I should talk about. So here we go, right? Today, I'm gonna talk about why baby step approach doesn't work for addiction quitting, right? For once, you are not a baby, right? You ain't no baby. So baby step approach, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But it's important for you to listen to me and hear me out before you draw your conclusions, right? Before you hate me or love me or whatever the case might be. It's important for you to listen to me first. Listen to what I have to say, right? So sit back and pay attention to what I'm saying, right? When I say baby step approach, I mean exactly this. When someone is trying to quit an addiction and they follow a step-by-step approach in order to do so, in my opinion, that's just, quitting alone, right? Let's say you are consuming something X amount, right? So then you are gradually cutting it down, right? From X amount to 90% of that X amount, 80% of that X amount, or whatever the case might be, so on and so forth. That to me is set to failure. There's a couple of reasons for that, and I'm going to go over those things, but that is set to failure because that doesn't address all the other things that should be addressed, and also that leaves a room wide open for other pleasurable activities to take over your life, and it ends up being basically playing some sort of like musical chair or something like that among addictions. So that's why I'm saying that it is not working. But you may know someone who has done it and who has done it so successfully, and sustain that for years. Good for them, right? Good for them. At the end of the video, you might realize that these people have done, consciously or unconsciously, these people have done these things, the things that I'm talking about in this video. So here are the subtopics we are talking about today. The first one, wrong focus. The second one, not addressing the emotional aspect. The third one, no active brain rewiring. And the fourth one, lack of physical substitution. I'm going to go over these things in more depth, right? I'm going to go over these things in more depth just so you will understand what I'm talking about, right? So yeah, like I said, sit back and enjoy the video. First subtopic of the day is wrong focus. This is something I talked about in this channel a couple times before as well, but let's go over it briefly, right? So the basic idea here is that you are focusing on the wrong thing with the baby step approach, right? You are focusing on something that you should be reducing over time, right? That you should be reducing step by step over time. Here's the problem here. Your brain cannot compute negatives, right? So here's what's happening. When you are focused on something, then be it the thing that you want to quit, or be it the thing that you want to proceed, your brain can't compute the difference between the two. So when you are focused on something, that's where your brain is going, and that is a recipe for disaster, or a substance for disaster in this case, right? So what I want you to do, let's take an example, right? Let's take an example and explain it to you. I've taken this example before as well. So if, let's say, you are you want to run down a hill in a forest, right? In a big jungle. You want to run down a hill, and the objective of yours is to get to the bottom as fast and as safely as possible, right? So let's say you are focusing on the obstacles in your way, the trees, the rocks, things like that. So if you are focused on those things, you are focused on the very things that you should be avoiding. And here's the kicker: when you are focused on those things, you miss out on the very thing that you should be focusing on the most, which is the clear pathway down to the bottom, right? When you are focused on all these different things, these trees and things like that, all you see are the obstacles, right? So when we take that theory and apply it to this scenario, when you are focused on quitting that substance or quitting, in this case, the activity that you are focused on, what ends up happening is that you are focusing on something that you should be quitting, and since your brain cannot compute that negative part, it just drops the negative part and keeps your focus on the wrong thing, right? So in that way, you're gonna just you're gonna bounce back and forth. There's nothing comes out of that, right? So instead, do the thing that I told you to do in that analogy, right? Which is focusing on the clear pathway down to the bottom instead of focusing on the trees and the obstacles in your way. Don't focus on nofap. I failed this many times focusing on the nofap, right? Right now, I'm not saying that I'm completely independent of that. Sometimes that happens. Not pornography. That's out of my life completely. The fapping part that happens from time to time, there's no compulsion. I have started a streak as of today. As of the day that I'm recording this video, I started another streak, and my goal is to get it to 365 days, right? This streak with no fapping, nothing sexual really. So anyway, that's a side note. So your focus should be on the positive side. That's the solution for the first subtopic we just talked about, right? In your reality, the positive side could be anything, right? But do not focus on the nofap thing. Do not focus on the negative side. Quitting pornography. Don't focus on that. That's what I'm saying. Focus on the positive side instead, and your chance of succeeding this will go up through the roof. It will elevate to a real major level. So yeah, that's the first subtopic. The second subtopic, here we go. Not addressing the emotional aspect. That's the second subtopic, second issue that we are talking about today. Right? When you are focused on quitting something, when you are focused on that aspect alone, right? When you are trying to just reduce that step by step, you are not really addressing the emotional aspect, the emotional issue that ties you up to your addiction, right? So there's always this emotional deficit that we have talked about in this channel previously as well. This emotional deficit will hook you up to your addiction, right? That's how it happens. And what I need you to do is to dig deep and find what that deficit is, because when you are addicted to something, there's always something positive in your life that's being replaced by the addiction. So once you found that, you can push that addiction away, and as the addiction gets away, you can replace that with the thing that's been missing due to that addiction, if that makes sense. So that's what I need you to do. That's the fix for not addressing the emotional aspect of it, right? So once you found that, then you can build up a protocol, build up a lifestyle around that emphasizes taking the addiction away, and that emphasizes replacing the addiction with the thing that's being replaced by the addiction. So that to me is the way to handle that. That's the fix to not addressing the emotional aspect of it. And after this video, after this video is done, you might be able to, just might be able to build up a protocol for your own addiction recovery. And it can be a baby step approach, don't get me wrong, but that baby step approach is the right way to do it, not just some bullcrap protocol that's only focused on removing something, and that's going to be a deficit. So that deficit will be filled up with something else, right? So you are going to have to actively fill it up with the thing that's being replaced by the addiction. That's what I'm trying to say. Third issue, no active brain rewiring. This is another thing that I talked about before, but simply put, this is what happens when you are focusing on one thing, just removing that thing, be it step by step or just cold turkey. If you are focused on removing that thing and removing that thing alone, that could be problematic down the road, because that could be easily overridden by something else, right? Some other pleasurable activity that you are doing. So it's just basically playing musical chair among addictions, right? So what I need you to do instead is this: when you are removing that, simultaneously you're going to have to restrict other pleasurable activities as well. When you are removing the one thing that you are addicted to, simultaneously you're going to have to put some restrictions on that. I have done a video on my dopamine detox series about that, the last video that I've uploaded on that series, as well as the last video I uploaded on the channel. So a good fix for that would be to go check it out. I will link that down below. Other than that, there are certain people who who are proud of them quitting their drug addictions, drug addiction or whatever the case might be. Like, when they were addicted to drugs, they were like 150 pounds, and they were down, they are like 450 pounds. So no, they have not really quit the addiction aspect of their lives. They just switched their drug addiction to food addiction. Or some people quit their drinking addiction, or again, whatever the case might be. And now they no longer drink, but they smoke like a train from early days, or like a chimney basically. So that's not really quitting an addiction, that's just replacing one addiction from another, right? So like I said, the way to tackle that, I talked about this in detail in my last video, the last video that I uploaded. So after watching this, if you want to learn about that more, please go watch that as well. Like I said, I will link that down below. So that switch has to happen, and also that restriction has to be in place, right? That restriction of restricting other pleasurable activities have to be in place, because that way you can allow your brain to rewire, like actively rewire. So that's a must, right? That's a must. And with that said, we are going to move on to the last subtopic of the day. Last but not least, lack of physical substitution, right? So in this case, what we are talking about is that you are not really in the baby step approach, you are not really, in most cases, replace that physical activity that you are doing so compulsively with a healthy activity, right? You're going to have to replace that unhealthy activity with a healthy activity. So that's what you need to do. And think it through really deeply, and that should go hand in hand with the second subtopic we were talking about, which is not addressing the emotional aspect of it, right? So you're going to have to think it through. You're going to have to think it through very deeply and understand what will help you out in this journey, right? What will help you out to cope with the emotional aspect, emotional thing that's bugging you in a healthy way without getting into your addiction, right? Giving into your addiction. So, like I said, think it through very deeply and friendly reminder. I'm here to help you guys out in every way I possibly can. That's why I, link my social media down below as well. I haven't been to TikTok um, for a for a decent amount of time. I will be back on that soon as well. So, and I will spread the videos there as well, like quick tips and things like that. But coming back to the topic, lack of physical substitution. That's something you should be paying a close attention to. Right? Okay. So this has been a relatively shorter video compared to what I was uploading recently. What I was uploading recently were like 30-35 minute long videos. So this has been a relatively shorter video, but I'm pretty sure that you got a decent value out of this thing, right? So in this video, my intention was to shed some light on an aspect of the baby step approach that oftentimes overlooked, right? So do people get great success with baby step approach? Yeah, of course they do, right? But here's the thing: when you dig deep and when you really analyze their stories and break them down, in a really detailed manner, you will see this. You will see that they have either purposely or accidentally they have done the things that I've discussed here, right? So in this video I wanted to spread the word about the right way to do the baby step approach, instead of just like I said, playing musical chair among addictions, or just being lost, right? So I wanna make sure, and you wanna make sure, when you put a step, when you put another step and another step and another step, the net movement of yours should be directly forward, right? It's like this: if you put a step this way and this way and this way and this way, you are at the exact same spot that you started. You are basically back to square one, right? So I wanted to avoid that. That's why I did this video, right? To shed some light on that topic. So with all that said, I'm gonna end this video right here. The whole YouTube deal. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and things like that. I appreciate all your support. And until next time, I'm High Value Guy. May the Triple Gem bless you.